Hey everyone, Andrigas here and welcome back to my channel. Season 2 of patch 10.1 is finally upon us with the release of a new raid Aberus along with a new Mythic Plus dungeon rotation and new PvP season. That means having higher eye-level gear drop across the board, so the time has come for us to get back into the game and start gearing our characters. Before diving into the details behind gearing, I want to briefly go over the new upgrade system and explain the basics. Then we're gonna see how to take advantage of open world and endgame PvE content to acquire the best possible gear. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Season 2 has one major difference compared to the latest seasons in WoW. This time around you'll be able to upgrade almost any piece of item to higher item level, whether you earn it from a world quest, Aberus, Mythic Plus or any other PvE activity. Specifically, in order to upgrade an item you will need Flightstones and Shadowflame crests. Flightstones are obtained easily through almost any PvE activity, including Zarale Cavern events, treasures, Mythic Plus dungeons, raid bosses and others. Then we have Shadowflame crests and their fragments, a much rarer currency which come in 4 varieties, depending on the difficulty of the content they come from. The lowest tier is called Whelpling, then we have Drake, Wyrm, and the highest quality is Aspect, which is Mythic equivalent. Crest fragments are in general much more difficult to come by. Open world activities will yield Whelpling mostly, and sometimes Drake, but you will get a very limited amount from them. Wyrms and Aspects, on the other hand, which are the highest quality crests, come from only killing heroic and mythic raid bosses, or finishing high-level Mythic Plus dungeon runs. More specifically, Wyrms drop from completing keys between 11 and 15, and then Aspects drop from keys at level 16 and higher. The bigger the challenge, the higher quality of crests you can collect. On top of that, there is a weekly cap of crest fragments equal to 150. So you'll want to be extra careful when spending your crests, since you can only earn a certain amount of them each week, optimally focusing all of them on your best in slot items. Luckily, the cap also increases over time and allows you to catch up freely if you don't reach it in a week. The upgrading process works in a straightforward way. The maximum eye level each item can reach from upgrading depends on the item's initial item level. LFR items can be upgraded to normal item levels, normal items can be upgraded to heroic equivalent, while heroic starter items can go all the way to mythic. You just need to collect the appropriate amount of Flightstones and crests to increase your item's item level. Go up to the upgrade vendor NPCs found in Loam or Valdrakken and you can see for yourself how much it will cost you. Depending on what eye level you are striving to achieve and what item slot is upgraded, the cost will be different. Weapons, for example, tend to be more expensive than other slots, so keep that in mind. However, this upgrade system allows you to get discounts when upgrading gears of lower item level. For instance, if you have 411 gloves, upgrading all other gloves up to 411 will be much cheaper. You will have a 60% discount on the Flightstones needed, which is also account-wide. As for the crest discount, well, you will not use any crests at all for upgrading items for the particular slot up to the highest eye level that you have. However, this feature is not account-wide, so it will only count for your character that you have the highest slot. In the cases of rings and trinkets, you need to have 2 of them of a particular eye level to get access to the discount for these particular slots. By completing the first chapter of the campaign, you will also receive a few free resources, so make sure you do that. If you want to learn more about the new upgrading system, please check out my other video. That's what you need to know about the new upgrading system. Now let's go over the best ways of obtaining gear. Let's start off with the gear you can obtain through open world activities. If you are a new or returning player and are looking to gain entry-level items, then Zarale Cavern got you covered, with most world quests offering starter items. You will want to continue doing activities with a new faction of the Nifen. You'll mainly want to farm reputation with them because advancing through the renowned track of Nifen will also get you access to purchasable gear, which could also help in early gearing. In addition to that, upon getting maximum renown with them, you will also earn an enchanted Wyrm's crest, but stay till the end to find out what you can do with it. Another easy way of obtaining veteran gear is through the weekly quest Worthy Ally at Loam, and on top of that, completing a sneaky minigame has the chance of awarding additional 402 items. All of this veteran gear can be upgraded up to 424 item level, which is a very good start. Another way of obtaining upgradable gear up to 424 is through the new Firak Assaults, which take place in suffuse camps at the Dragon Isles. Complete the world quest associated with it and open the weekly chest found in the area. Don't forget to also kill the final boss every week to obtain a Drake's Crest. Make sure to also kill the world boss in Zarale Cavern, which can also grant you items of 421 item level. Besides base starter items, completing this weekly from Valdrakken will also award you with a 415 piece of gear. All you need to do is to complete 5 heroics and that's it. You can get your 415 champion item, or you can choose to get a Drake Crest instead. This item can also be upgraded all the way to 437, which is also very good. If you don't like doing high-end mythic or raids, then just completing 5 heroic dungeons each week can lead to some pretty good rewards. Obviously, if you are a geared high-end player, then you can simply skip this and go straight to Mythic Plus and raids. Speaking of raids, one of the main ways for gearing up comes from defeating raid bosses, and in this patch there is no exception. Starting with LFR, we have bosses dropping 402 to 424 veteran gear, then normal drops 415 to 437 champion gear. Heroic drops the highest upgradable gear, which is Hero, at 428 to 441 item level. And lastly we have Mythic Raid, which drops Mythic gear equal to 441 from early bosses, all the way up to 450 from the final bosses. Raid also includes very rare items which are a bit higher than the loot table. For Mythic, the final 2 bosses will drop 2 rare items at item level 457, which includes class trinkets from Echo of Neltharion and a backpiece from Sarkareth. I want to also point out at this point that Mythic gear is not upgradable further. Gear which is labeled as Mythic will be the highest item level you can get. When Liquid achieved the World Fest race by killing off Mythic Sarkareth, we saw the cracked Titan gem dropping from him. This item begins a legendary weapon questline for Evokers. Blizzard has also confirmed that once the World Fest Mythic kill is completed in a region, the quest item will begin dropping on all difficulties after the weekly reset for that region. The higher the difficulty you kill Sarkareth, the higher the chance of a drop, and most likely it's a guaranteed drop on Mythic. So if you are an Evoker, make sure you kill Sarkareth on as many difficulties as you can each week to get your legendary weapon. In addition to finding items to fill in your gear slots, you will also need to prioritize getting your force set as soon as possible. Class tier sets offer a powerful spec-specific bonus to your character, and in most cases they will dramatically increase your output. Aberus will be the prime source of obtaining new class tier sets, but there's additional ways to acquire them, as we will go over in a bit. All tier bonuses are the same, no matter the gear quality. So it's worth clearing out the raid on as many difficulties as possible to maximize your chances of acquiring tier items. In addition to that, Sarkareth, the final boss of the raid, will also award an Omni token for your entire group. This is a guaranteed drop per kill on all difficulties and doesn't affect the items he drops. The Omni token will be taken to a vendor and converted into a tier set of the level and upgrade band appropriate to the raid difficulty it came from. That being said, it will definitely help you fill out your set much easier if you are lucky enough to get it out of the entire raid group. You can also get a tier token on every character when you complete the achievement of Dragonflight Season 2 Master. This is a brand new achievement which is awarded for either clearing Heroic Aberus, obtaining 2200 Mythic Plus rating or 1800 rating in PvP. Doing so awards that character with a Draconic Mark of Mastery, an item which can be turned into a vendor for any heroic tier set item of your choice. And it can only be earned once per character. In this patch, they also greatly increase the rate of class set items appearing in the Great Vault across the board, which is all welcome change and can significantly help completing your force set much earlier. So make sure you fill in as many Great Vault slots as you can each week. Speaking of acquiring tier sets, Revival Catalyst will also be coming back on this patch on the week of June 13th. Upon the Catalyst opening, all players will receive a Renaissance Shadowflame charge for every one of your characters. Every week thereafter, all characters on your account will passively gain a charge. There will be also no cost associated with the Catalyst beyond the charge spent, meaning that if you've done the work to get the item in the first place and you have a charge, then that's it, you can convert your non-tier item into a tier set item. Simple as that. Gear from Firak Assaults and some outdoor items within Zarale Cavern will also be able to be converted into LFR tier pieces. Thus, if you prefer gearing solo and don't want to step into raids, then you can get your first set from outdoor content too. Like raids, Mythic Plus Dungeons will also offer gear which will scale with dungeon difficulty. Keys starting at level 2 up to 8 will drop veteran gear, which can go up to 424. 9 to 16 keys will drop champion gear, which can go up to 437, while hero gear drops from 17 keys and higher and can be upgraded all the way up to 441. The highest obtainable gear from completing dungeons is 431, coming from a plus 19 and 20 difficulties. With this season upgrading system, the way to go is quite straightforward. Try to push your keys to a higher level to obtain better gear and crests. Ideally, you want to complete plus 17 difficulty and above. Doing so awards aspect crest fragments as well as hero items, which can be upgraded all the way to 441. Though not everyone is going to be able to follow this strategy earlier in the patch, that's perfectly fine. You can always start out small until you get a chance to get a bit of gear, then gradually move over to plus 14s to get familiar with the additional affixes, and eventually start clearing your 70s, which is how you can obtain some of the highest gear from completing dungeons and through the Great Vault. Speaking of the Great Vault, one of the main ways to acquire some of the highest item level gear is through here. Defeating raid bosses, completing keys or doing PvP activities will reward you with items in your Great Vault every week, in a much higher item level though. For example, completing a plus 8 dungeon will award you with a 428 item in the vault, and by completing a 16 or higher will give you a mythic item. Plus 20 and higher keys will award you with the highest item level coming from Mythic Plus, and that's 447. So the highest item level you can get in Season 2 is the Mythic non-upgradable gear, which drops from Mythic raid bosses or can be found inside the Great Vault when completing plus 16 keys and higher. But there is one last way to obtain highest gear from PvE content, and that comes from crafted epic gear. With the profession overhaul in Dragonflight, people can go through the work order systems and craft high item level items for any desired slot. In Season 2, you will need to find a good enchanter to craft various enchanted crests. These items will utilize your looted Shadowflame crests to upgrade crafted gear. Enchanted crest will not be the only item required for crafting hired gear. You will also need a Spark of Shadowflame, the new reagent which replaces the Spark of Ingenuity from Season 1. To obtain a Spark of Shadowflame, you need to combine 2 Splinter Sparks of Shadowflame, so it takes 2 weeks to craft a single spark. Splinter Sparks can be found in either the sensational weekly chest reward or through the malicious horde from completing PvP activities in Valdrakken. Only the first week you play during the patch you can complete one additional quest called Par Unified. This grants a free Splinter Spark, so only for the first week you can create a whole spark. From that point forward you will need 2 weeks to craft a Shadowflame Spark. The weekly Worthy Ally and Power Unified quests are available for your alts too. You just need to simply go to Loam and pick them up. There is no need to do campaign or anything else. If you miss a week, don't worry, you can still catch up with your sparks. Splinter Sparks have a chance to drop from various activities until your character catches up to the current spark count. This can also act as an alt catch-up system. If you decide to play with an alt mid-season, you can still earn all the sparks until you catch up to the current week. If you also have Season 1 crafted items, do not fear, you can simply just recraft your Season 1 gear to Season 2 by replacing the spark and adding crests that you earn in patch 10.1. The highest craftable gear in this patch will be 447, which requires an enchanted aspect Shadowflame crest. This is an amazing number for any player, but it requires much time and effort from your part, and surely will need a lot of gold. If you want to learn more about crafted gear, I made an entire video explaining everything you need to know, so make sure you go check that out. So to sum everything up, my recommended way to go for gearing up in Season 2 is first complete your campaign in Zeralink Cavern and other activities you encounter inside of it, and keep farming reputation with Lom Nifen. Upon reaching Renown 20 with them, you will also be rewarded with a free enchanted Worms chest. These can be used on an epic crafted gear to upgrade it to 424 up to 437 depending on the crafter's skill. As the patch progresses, farm as many flystones as possible and don't forget to complete your weeklies. That includes the Worthy Ally to get the Splinter Spark and the quest from Valdrakken to obtain 415 gear. Early in the patch it might be quite useful, but you can skip it later or you can just go for the crest instead. Also, try to reach your weekly cap of Shadowflame fragments, especially in drakes, wyrms and aspects if possible. If you also want to get up to 424, complete Firaka Souls every week and do the wall boss. Keep farming raids, especially Sarkarath on all difficulties if you can. This will increase your chances to obtain tier set, and also if you are an evoker you can obtain a legendary weapon. Also try to push higher keys to get higher item level gear and higher crests. Remember, completing plus 16 and above will grant aspect crest fragments, and completing plus 17 dungeons and above will reward you with a hero gear, which is the highest upgradable gear and can go up to 441. So if you can, it's best to complete plus 17s to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Make sure to fill in most of your Great Vault slots by killing raid bosses and completing keys to maximize your chances at getting tier sets and obtaining high level gear. Once you get your hands on a few items from dungeons and raids, you can upgrade them. However, do this only if you consider them to be worthy. If you get a high item level gear with bad stats, you can always wait until the revival catalyst comes up and convert it into a tier set, if of course comes up with better stats, so you can use it to your advantage. If you are watching this after June 13th, don't forget to use the catalyst every week if you haven't acquired your 4th set yet, or you join later in the season. I know that's a lot of info to take in all at once, so if you have any questions I will happily answer them all. WoW is so vast right now, there is a ton of activities to do that address all kinds of players, from casuals to cutting edge players. So it's up to you really to decide your gearing journey and what you want to do to gear up and how far you want to reach. As always, thank you so much for watching my content, and make sure to drop a like if you have found this video helpful. If you want to support my channel, please take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You can also find me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/AndrikatsGames, where I'm mostly streaming World of Warcraft. Good luck with whatever you are doing, and I will see you all on the next one. Bye!